Okay. Now we're filling up the buckets to have water to set the hacks. So the bucket and the dolly are both stored on top of the cabinet. So take them both off, and we use a double bucket system to keep it insulated so that when we get out into the cold air of the rink, the water stays as hot as possible for the entire duration of setting hacks. So we want 2 buckets. That's there on purpose. So both buckets centered perpendicular to the dolly. Bring it into the janitorial room. And make sure you're using the hot water, as hot as it gets. The valve here just turns the water on because it's already open. So we want to fill it up with only about 6 inches of water. It really doesn't take much. So I'm going to fill it until like about here, hot water. That's it. Now we're gonna set a hack. So as you can see, I've already filled up the bucket of water. It's steaming. I've got the hack set on the sides. So these carpeted sides of the dolly are good places to store the hacks. You can just kind of pile them up, alternating one by one. You don't want them sitting in the water while you're waiting to set them. You want to keep them dry. So the first thing you're gonna do is make sure that you have your hacks in your bucket close to the place where you're gonna set the hack. You're also gonna need 2 stones ready to go. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the hack and you're gonna dip it into the hot water. The goal is for these 6 metal teeth to be heated up enough by the hot water so that when you put them on the ice, they melt in. So you don't need to dunk the whole thing. In fact, we wanna try to keep the rubber parts as dry as possible and only get the metal wet. So you're gonna dunk it in and you're gonna hold it in there. So that those 2 stones in the metal, those are underwater. The rubber is not underwater. And you're gonna hold it in there so that it gets nice and warmed up. About 30 seconds is the right amount of time. Pull it out, let some water drip off, then come line yourself up. They've added these nice lines for our hacks, which is awesome. They're not always perfectly centered, so you wanna look at the house, and we've got the center line on the house. You wanna center that at the center of the hack, and then center the hack on top of the black line. Once you feel like you've got it centered and straight, then do the hardest part of all, standing on it.
You can tell these are ready when you start seeing a little bit of water pooling. These cutouts are here for a reason. They let you see that you're getting that metal down to the surface and slightly melting in. So you can see these are starting to pool with a little bit of water. And that means those cleats are melted in. And that hack is set.
Replace your feet with a couple of stones. And it probably needs about 5 minutes to rest like that before you can play with it. This right here is called the nipper. So it's a pretty heavy device to carry out here. You might need 2 people, especially if you're carrying the sheepskin with it. Best way to carry it is there's a handle right here, so you can kind of steady the arm and lift it up by the handle and carry it that way. Once you get it out on the ice, you want to attach the sheepskin. So you want to hold it by both of the metal clips. Get them both on top of the hook at the same time. They're adjustable, so you can kind of angle them the way you need it. And let that spin. As you push, the sheepskin will be close to you. So it's basically catching any debris that's coming off the nipper and carrying it with you along your journey. So the nipper has a blade underneath the blue part, and the blade is calibrated to the exact height that we want it. The purpose of the nipper is for that blade to nip off the top of the pebble. When the pebble freezes on the ice, it freezes into a point like a mountaintop. The purpose of the nipper is to cut off the very tip of that mountain so that the rock has a flat surface to slide on. So all you really need to do is just push. Doesn't matter what angle you hold the handle at. The important thing here is that you want to do 3 passes per sheet. So you're going to go down the right side, back down the middle, and then back down the left side, so that you get every section of the sheet nipped. Then once you get started, I'm all the way on the edge. I can see the outer line all the way as I go. Then the important thing is that the nipper is going to collect a lot of snow as you go. You want to try and contain that snow the best you can within the nipper, so you can kind of see it's collected a little bit already in just the small amount that I've done. So say I'm going back to the other side. At the end of each pass with the nipper, you want to make sure to keep that snow contained and push it around the hack and as far back against the boards as you can so that it doesn't get stuck to anybody's shoes and create falling hazards. Push the snow up against the boards, back the nipper up, and get ready for your next pass.
So this year we're also going to reinstitute the rock box, or the dragging box. This will be done after the nipper goes. So the idea here is that we've pebbled, we've nipped, and you may have noticed that generally on a curling night the ice gets faster throughout the evening. And so the idea of dragging stones is to help break down that pebble and help increase our speeds, especially in the early parts of a game. So this can happen as soon as the nipper moves on to sheet B. Rock dragging can begin. We only have 2 stones out for demonstration today, but we would fill this box up. It holds at least 7 or 8 stones, if you can arrange them in there just right. And this one's pretty straightforward. We're just dragging this box. We really just need to focus on the middle 2/3 of the sheet. So it's not as important to have a full 3 passes with the rock drag, because these middle portions of the sheet are where the majority of our stones are going to travel during gameplay. So I would drag all the way down the other end, and I would just stay in front of the hack. No need to go behind it. Flip the box around and drag my stones back down to the other side. So trying to cover that center line. You can see I'm getting a little off kilter because we don't have all the stones in there. Trying to cover that center line on both passes so that we've got the middle 2/3 of the sheet hit with the rock drag.
All right, at the end of the night when it's time to remove hacks, here's the process for doing that. So you want to fill up this growler with hot water from the janitor's closet. You can even fill it before curling starts. If you keep it in the warm room, it'll stay nice and insulated in here. This gallon of water should be enough to remove all 8 hacks. So that's about, if that's any judge of how much you want to use. So what you do is just pour a little bit of water onto the middle metal part, along the back edge, and both sides. And you can kind of hear it crackling as you pour, because that hot water should be releasing the hack from the ice. Okay, then you take the club broom and you slide it in. You don't need to slide it all the way through. You get a little more leverage if you just slide it in barely to the end, and then you just kind of ease it up. And we haven't taken very much ice with us, which is the goal.